this became like a standalone episode in and of itself. Like, um, it suddenly became a thriller, right? The whole episode revolved around finding Aegon. We pick up the very night of the death of Viserys that we had in the last episode, his triumphant and tragic death. I say triumphant because I like the character, really. And I felt that the character did have a redemption arc in terms of him fulfilling his promise and being consistent in wanting to make amends for killing his wife way back in episode 1, which is like, I don't know, almost 20 years prior to this, and fulfilling that through his constant protection of Rhaenyra, even though he had started his own family with Alicent. That's really been the crux of that character throughout the whole time, is the fact that he's split between two families that he created with two different women, and trying to stay true throughout that. But as soon as that happens, we're going to see that this becomes a thriller. So it's kind of like a standalone episode. It's fun by itself. It does progress the drama somewhat. We don't see Rhaenyra or Daemon at all in this episode, which was a little bit of a bummer, because that's the first thing you want to... But obviously they're not even aware of what's going on, and I'm assuming they will be made aware by Rhaenys at the very end, as we'll see. But it was an interesting thriller, and it was... everything that we expected to happen, that was going to happen the moment Viserys dies, happens, right? So it's not surprising, except for a few things. Maybe the only thing that I think was surprising was to see that Alicent genuinely did not have an idea of just how far her father was willing to go to install Aegon. Like, Alicent genuinely believes that Viserys told her that Aegon should be placed on the throne in his dying moments, because she doesn't know that he's talking about the Song of Fire and Ice, and that it's a prophecy, and that's a conversation that he was having with his daughter prior to his death, and that he confused her. Fine. But we know that when she tells her father, Otto, that he pretty much is thinking, oh, you're making this up so that we can carry on with what we need to carry on. You're very astute, young daughter, you know? But that's not the case. She's being genuine, and you don't really get a complete sense of that until they're actually sitting in the council and discussing the succession of Aegon, and she realizes that her father and Lannister have been plotting for this all along, and planning to make it happen. So in that sense, there is some surprises here.
Who knows?
But for the most part, this is pretty much what we expected to happen. This is pretty much what we expected to happen the moment that Viserys was going to die. We didn't expect, or at least I didn't expect, that Alicent was genuine enough that she's kind of torn between what she believes is her husband's dying wish and what it's going to do to Rhaenyra, and at least she does defend Rhaenyra in all this. Her father has been doing nothing but waiting for the moment when he can eliminate Rhaenyra and that entire line of the family. And it's Alicent that stands up here for what is right, for what is decent. So she kind of gained my respect back after having lost it for like 3 entire episodes in which I just kept yelling at her. She really has shown here that She's been put in a position by her father that she never wanted to be in.
It is the truth. Out of his own lips. His last words to me, that I was the only one to know it.
And that she may make decisions out of desperation and actions out of desperation because she feels lives are at stake. But she's genuinely trying to do the right thing insofar as what's the honest and proper thing to do for people's lives, not even so much for the realm, which is what Otto hides behind constantly. And this is a great personification of exactly her place in all this. The discussion in the council is very. It made for a good soap opera, for sure. And it played out exactly like we thought, like I was saying. The big surprise, which Game of Thrones likes to do, and again, we're still dealing with on this show the fact that the shows can't seem to progress unless people are eliminated. I never paid attention if that was the case in the old Game of Thrones. It didn't feel like it was, but in this one, maybe I'm getting more accustomed and astute to what is going on. But in this one, it's just very clear that unless certain people are eliminated, now it's Viserys, the actual king, right? And probably in his case, this was the longest one coming. We saw this coming for a long time. Unless he got eliminated, none of these tensions that have been bubbling under the surface throughout all this entire season can finally rise up to the surface and have at it, as it were. And here again, another thing that Game of Thrones likes to do is their shock value. And we have this gentleman here. I don't really know enough to tell you exactly what his position on the council is, but obviously he's someone that was a good friend of Viserys. Has been a lot, has known him for his entire life. He looks even older than Viserys, or at least as old. And he stands up for what is right. He's like, there's no way that this is what his dying wish was. And even everybody has pretty much, everybody else in the council has pretty much accepted the fact that this is what has to happen, right? That Aegon needs to be installed as king, Rhaenyra needs to be disowned, needs to be replaced. But this old man is the only one that has enough heart to stand up for what he believes in all of this. And it's interesting to see yet again, right? We saw way back at the first wedding between Laenor and Rhaenyra that Sir Criston is off the hinges, right? He is forever marred by her refusal to run away with him after she took, I don't know if she took his virginity, but I mean at this point it feels like she really did, because he really acts like he's just never been with a girl before. And Criston steps in as if he has any say in the matter. He really oversteps his position as the king's guard, or the queen's guard, I guess, in this scenario, and pushes this man down. So a feeble old man too, with such strength, that he knocks him out, right? And while it is consistent with Sir Criston's trauma and the fact that Sir Criston should have been removed from the guard. If it wasn't for the queen, he probably would have been a long time ago. It also seemed really just out of character, because I mean, to continue, if they're gonna make him do what they did, it feels like they did this on purpose to make this old man die for the sake of shock value. But having said that, now that they've done that, Sir Criston, for it to be consistent with his character, the way they're developing him, he has to continuously now from here on out be more and increasingly unhinged for this to play out and not seem like they were just forcing it to be done, right? He has to become eventually a monstrosity of his former self by the end of this not the season, but by the end of how his entire story arc plays out. Because even I wasn't expecting him. I see him standing behind him. I wasn't paying attention before. This old man is not threatening anybody. This old man is not, accusing anything. I mean, as far as no one's life is being threatened by this old man, yet Kristen takes it as anything that stands in the way of what needs to happen, which is anything that's going to ruin Rhaenyra's life, basically. He will personally destroy. Classic Game of Thrones shock value moment. And I love how nobody addresses the fact that Sir Kristen just murdered someone. I mean, he should automatically be removed. But instead, it's the actual commander, who I always liked. Something about these old characters, I don't know. They remind me of like the old Italian guard. Maybe my own grandfather even. I don't know. With the bald head and the beard and mustache. I mean, unhinged. This guy is just, he needs to be put down. You could tell. He has let this anger over Rhaenyra fester in him for years now, instead of getting over it and moving on. And I mean, now I can't really blame Alicent. It is her fault, but I don't blame her for not seeing these things, because she is just she's constantly just trying to keep her head above water in all of this. She really doesn't understand the way she's affecting the men around her. The way Rhaenyra seems to be very clear of in Rhaenys. She wasn't bred for this, you know? She wasn't bred or built to be in this position, and she finds herself in it, and she is completely lost. I mean, you really get a sense of it in this episode when she finally has to pretty much step into the shoes of Viserys. And I love how we just had a man murdered, and instead of having him removed, we're just going to carry on. Here's where Game of Thrones really touches upon what real men of power are like, right? They don't care about life. They just care about their own political gain. I love this moment with the Lord Commander and how he sees that these people are all out of control. I mean, she does too, but she does nothing about it, because at the end of the day, she cares more about her own kids, even though she does stand up to protect Rhaenyra and not have her killed. But it's the Lord Commander is the only one that's is the only
really cool contraposition, honestly.
And it's the Lord Commander that's the only one that stands up for what's right and says, well, if this is how this is going, I can't be a part of it.
The king did not wish for the murder of his daughter.
He's showing what having balls in this situation should look like.
Right.
Like,
Well, we saw the first old man get killed for talking, which was awful. And now the Lord Commander, you would think he would be scared because, I mean, Kristoff just acted,
yeah.
but nonetheless, he does the right thing. And I mean, it's those moments are so far between in Game of Thrones that when they do happen, they're memorable.
Right with him and honorable, which is weird.
But unfortunately, that opens it up for Kristoff to take his position, and we don't like that. I also find it interesting that at this point, we see a very distinct, for the first time, we see a very distinct division between Otto and Alicent, in the fact that Otto sends, this knight and his brother to look for Aegon, and she sends Sir Kristoff and her son to look for Aegon, and both of them say, bring Aegon to me. So there's a jockeying for power between Otto and Alicent already, just from the outset of this, And all things considered, after what we saw in that council meeting, I would much rather have Alicent in charge than I would Otto any day,
Like, yes, morally speaking, but rationally speaking, she's so unhinged that I don't know who would be worse, honestly.
Yeah, but right now, Otto has no problem with killing Rhaenyra and all of her family while she's the only one saying that that's not what we should do, and that's what I'm basing my decision off of. We have the whole scene of Rhaenys being held there, and it's an I felt from the beginning of the introduction of that scene that she was going to be important, that she was going to be the only, obviously she's the only one representing the Valyrian line, let's say, the Valyrian side of all this, right? Because this is really has becoming a battle between Westerosi, the Westerosi houses, and the houses that come from old Valyria, and she's the only voice in this episode standing up for the Valyrian line and showing what their true strength is. You can say a lot about the Targaryens when we get introduced to them in Game of Thrones. They really are at their decline, and it's really hard to see why they were why they deserve to have the kingship. But in House of the Dragon, where we'd have plenty of Valyrians with Targaryen and the Valyrians, we really get a sense that they do have a sense of dignity. They do have a sense of listening before acting, of conducting themselves properly, and knowing when to apply force when it's necessary.
Way back in Valyria, when the Targaryens were in Valyria, they weren't even one of the big families. Like there were 40 oligarchic families that ruled for Valyria. And some of them were dragon riders, some of them weren't. And of those 40 families, the Targaryens weren't even like one of the top most important ones. They were like just powerful because they were dragon riders as well. So I don't think it's really in them to rule.
You said they were either
they saw how it was like, and they are trying to apply it here.
You said they were dragon riders, or what? What's the other?
Or either, usually if you're not a dragon rider in Valyria, you're a good salesperson.
Oh.
So the Valyrians and the Targaryens are a good contraposition there.
Well, that's a good point. That's a good point to make. Regardless, they still are a representation of an old civilization that was obviously lasted for a very long time and has a lot more to offer in terms of conduct than the Westerosi people that are native to Westeros, don't you think?
No, that's for sure. I mean, again, knowledge by experience, it's always better than no knowledge at all. So they definitely have some kind of advantage there, especially on top of Otto and Alicent, that are literally from Hightower, where like Hightower isn't even that important of a city. It's just important because it's got a port and because it's close to the Citadel, and that's it. So,
right.
Yeah, I definitely think they have more reason to rule the Targaryens.
Yeah. And so we see Alicent manipulates the Chris Puff, saying, basically she's got a love story going on with him, even though it's platonic at the moment. And she's got a love story going on with Larys, even though that one's perverted. And that's how Alicent manipulates men to do what she needs.
It's like a manipulation. It's not really a love story. It's like an exchange.
Right, but I feel that that's what makes House of the Dragon realistic in terms of expressing male-female dynamics, male-female power dynamics, where women might not be always be able to stand in the throne or wield a sword, but they can definitely manipulate men just as easily, if not more, if not better, to get things done more efficiently. And that's a more realistic show of how women can have power and show power and affect the outcome of things. The interesting thing too is that Sir Criston takes Aemon, even though Aemon is the brother of Aegon and he pretends that he would know where Aegon would go. Like he takes him to like a brothel that Aegon took him when he was a younger, obviously, to pop his cherry, and like that leads them nowhere. That gets them nowhere. Meanwhile, Sir Eric, who's actually been the person that's been watching Aegon, Like he knows where to go. And it's funny because we think it's okay, yeah, of course he frequents brothels. No, it's worse than brothels. This guy goes to freaking child fights where children are trained to attack each other, which is an awful thing to even demonstrate. And that's one of the things about the show that I don't like, is that they're willing to go that far. Nonetheless, we'll leave that alone, right? At this point, again, to the point of Alicent versus Otto, notice how Otto, for the second time in the season, immediately assumes the throne, like he's going to be king, as if he has authority, and basically is telling everyone, either you support the High Towers, the Targaryen line through the High Towers, essentially, or you pretty much don't have a place and you don't get to live. We're going to take you down to the dungeon. And the fact that Alicent isn't here makes me think that she's not really privy to it. She's not really aware, because right now her own paranoia is getting a hold of Aegon before make sure that nothing has happened to him. I love how nobody thought about it, like nobody cared about Aegon or where he was going or what he was up to until this happens, Like you guys should have always been worried about that guy and what he was doing, not just tonight. Here we have the basic scene of, there's a new order in charge, and you basically now don't have an option to go against the king or speak against the new king that they're gonna install. But the rest of the show, really, for the most part, is just this thriller of finding out where Aegon is. They go to the pits that we already discussed. They find this girl. I love how people just randomly show up. Like, these guys didn't, at least these guys, unlike Aemond, who doesn't know at all how bad his brother's tastes are, these guys knew where to go, but they still didn't know who to talk to. This girl just pops out of nowhere and talks to them, and it's just like, we're just making it easy for them. Like, I don't understand. They should have, it felt like everything was just kind of falling in place for these guys. We have the moment of Aemond complaining about his brother, and it's interesting because you would think from his complaint that he would want to, and it seems like he almost thinks about it for a moment, that he would want to supplant his own brother, because his brother obviously is a loser and doesn't know how to stand up to take on the responsibility, basically. And it feels like it's Alicent, just like Rhaenyra holds together her family. It feels like Alicent is what keeps these two guys from going head to head, because everything in Aemond, he feels very much like Daemon Unhinged, where if he could take the throne by force, he would have not a problem breaking out his dragon, breaking out his sword, and just basically telling everybody, you're going to do what I say or else.
Like, do you remember last episode? How Aemon looked at Daemon? Like, I think he's both enamored in a really weird way and admires him a lot, and also sees him as like kind of a rival.
Who sees who that way?
Aemon with Daemon.
They look like two dragons that are sizing each other up.
Yeah, true. Wow. I love that comparison.
Can we talk about Otto being continuously being a nasty man?
Yeah, well, but I did notice though.
The fact that he's aware that this guy's doing perversions with his daughter, which at this point we don't know for sure. But he's saying, you sure are spending a lot of time with my daughter. And Larys immediately understands that this guy is a guy that you can negotiate, and he would sell his own daughter. We know he pimped her out, so long as he gets what he wants out of it, which is position and power and information. Because Otto, after the council, realizes that his daughter isn't on the same page that he thought she was at the beginning of the episode. When she tells him, Viserys told me that Aegon needs to be king. I don't think Otto believed her. I think Otto
Yeah.
thought that she was lying because she understands what they need to do, that she was on the same page with him. But then the way she acted at the council when he said basically we got to kill Rhaenyra, he realizes, uh-oh, no, my daughter is still too nice. She's too soft. I need to keep an eye on what she's doing. And so she goes to this guy, you know?
Allison, I mean, I've noticed that she's really picked up the way her father wanted her to be, in the sense of she's ready to sell whatever it takes to get what she needs. But also, she's using that for herself. She's not just her father's puppet anymore.
Right. I think this scene between the two of them was one of the best, if not the best scene of the episode, because first of all, we feel bad for Rhaenys. She's constantly being pitted, right? Like last episode, I think it was, Rhaenyra came up to her like, "Hey, you got to help me." Now Alicent is going up to her saying, "You got to help me." She's always like trapped into these positions where she is basically having her life threatened if she makes the wrong decision. But here they have a really honest interchange as women. I felt this was the most powerful scene
Yeah,
of two.
sadly, she can't even choose for herself really anymore.
I felt this was a strong scene between two powerful women understanding each other and seeing what each one has to bring to the table. And even Rhaenys tells her, like, this is the first time that you've started to act of your own accord, but yet you haven't gone far enough. If I was in your position, and mind you, Rhaenys is the one that forsook the throne. She never fought to try to get it back from Viserys. But she's telling her, but look at the position you're in. You could be the queen. Why would you not take the opportunity to be the queen when you know that the men around you make all the bad decisions?
You can really see Allison thinking about it. Once I really liked when Rhaenys Rhaenys basically said, have you ever thought that you could be queen? Have you ever thought that you can get the power? You're only serving your men. And you can see Allison actually taken by that because she knows that she's right.
Right.
She knows that she should do that because she has the power to do that, but she's not in the right headspace for it. She's just not confident enough because she was raised by her father to not be that way.
Right. 100%, you know, and I've just like Viserys, I've really come to admire Rhaenys and the way this actress personifies her because she's always very observant and she speaks more with her eyes than with her words.
And I love that kind of acting because it feels more real. I don't know if it's just me, but it really feels like you're communicating what you really want to communicate. Like you're telling me what you need to tell me.
Of course, Otto gets to the White Worm. I was kind of impressed. I never liked her, but I was impressed that here, the only thing that she's asking of him is to stop the kids fighting on those pits. And I was like, wow, so this woman she really, again, a woman that cares more about what's going on with the people.
I think we're kind of biased with the White Worm situation because of her accent and because she was Damon's whore.
Yeah, yeah.
And so we always kind of overlooked her, but she's been weaving around for so long, and she always kind of had some moral. Even back when she was in Dragonstone with Daemon, where they had that talk, and she was like, I didn't come with you because of, I don't remember exactly what she said, but in the end she was like, I came to you because I'm afraid and I need a protector. I need someone that can protect me from the weirdness and the dangers of this world. And she's always had that kind of moral, I think. It's just interesting to see that she's kept that with herself. Like she's been consistent all these years, which let's remember it's been 10 years basically.
Right.
But it doesn't matter because she's still thinking exactly that way. And she's gotten to a point where she can ask this of such important players because she's gotten that power finally.
But
And honestly, I know we didn't see a lot of her, but the characterization and her character growth in that sense was really awesome.
But did you expect her to ask him to do this? Did you expect that that's what she wanted out of this exchange? Because I didn't. I was kind of surprised, pleasantly.
Honestly, yes, pleasantly surprised for sure. I didn't expect it only because I think we'd never seen it. You know, like we just saw that that's what's happening in this area of the of King's Landing. Like we only just know about this fighting pit.
Yeah, yeah.
And the fact that she's known for a while and she's taking her own power to fight that was really unexpected, but awesome.
But isn't she stupid to think that this guy would keep his word? Like, there's nothing once she hands over Aegon, there's nothing that she can use to make sure he keeps his part of the deal. Although I do like the fact that she's the only one that mentions this line, there is no power but what the people allow you to take. It's the first time we see someone that thinks about the people first.
Okay, I think she was really naive in how she phrased it. Even the fact that she said, when you remember, like when you put Aegon on the throne, when you put this person on the throne, remember that it was me that allowed you to find him. Like that was a bit stepping a bit too far.
So Chris Puff here has the fight with Eric. His brother doesn't back him up, and I think it's because the brother has been disgusted by everything he's seen, right? He's like, I don't want to have anything to do with this anymore.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, would you?
No, I agree. I think it's the right attitude. I also thought this exchange between them was good, between Aegon and his brother, where literally here, Aemon has the opportunity to let his brother go and escape and flee, and he could take his place, but he doesn't. So it's a form of betrayal, brother to brother, even though it's not a betrayal.
I think there is more of a sense of righteousness in some freaky way in Aemon. He is very righteous and very, this is how things should go.
My problem with Aemon is the same problem I have with Daemon in the beginning, is that now, like, the actor that's playing Aemon as a young adult, I really like that actor. He really has presence and he really does a good job. So even though Aemon is a character I should hate, I love the actor. I don't know if you have the same thing.
He's acting the shit out of that one eye he has. Like, I've never seen somebody so expressive yet so creepy.
Here we have the actual scene between Alicent and Otto where she basically says, like, you made me into what I am. You never gave me the chance to choose my future. What do we think about that?
And now the debt comes to you. The debt you were happy enough to pay as a sacrifice.
This was really important for her character. She's taking a stand, and she's actually, especially after the discussion with Rhaenys, I suppose.
This argument is the argument between good and evil, because he's calling it a sacrifice to maintain the realm. There has been no indication that, I mean, they keep saying that no one's going to accept Rhaenyra on the throne. We don't know that for sure, number one. Do we? I haven't seen any indication of it. All the lords swore fealty to Viserys. He's making it sound like he's doing this high thing. And she says reluctance to murder is not a weakness. And she's right. Like, this is a classic argument between good and evil right here. Like, evil always tries to pretend like they have the right to do what they have to do because they see further than we do. And even if it means that people have to be sacrificed and killed, it's okay. This is the first time that she steps up to her father and says, I'm done doing what you tell me to do. I have Aegon, he's my son, so I beat you to the punch. So I'm going to do what needs to be done from now on, and I'm going to dictate the terms. And I mean, I think, again, I think that was a good thing. I'm on her side if I have to pick between her and Otto.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, Otto is pure self-serving. Alicent is very much Cersei in this sense. Like, she's very much trying to be selfish, but also thinking about her own kid.
And then he comes with this stupid manipulation of like, you look like your mom. And it's like, dude, stop with the manipulation. You lost. She knows what you're about. But yeah, she walks away. I love it. We know that Otto has been working with the White Worm to get information. Larys is playing both sides. Now we know Larys doesn't give a damn about anything because Larys has no problem killing his own father and brother, which he already did. And he's playing now father against daughter to his own advantage, because at the end of the day, I still believe Larys wants to be the one in charge, either as being the hand or being on the throne himself, whatever it may be. And now he tells her, I know about the White Worm. She's been talking shit behind your back. And what if I remove her, right? But the only thing I want is for you to show me your feet so I can jerk off. Which he's getting double, because he's playing the father against the daughter, which is his real game, and he's getting to jerk off. So he's getting two things for the price of one.
Yeah, oh my god. I've heard people say that it's kind of wrong and weird that he's jerking off to her feet or whatever, and making the argument that everybody's freaking out about the feet, while there's literally hints about
Pedophilia?
children loving in this episode. And honestly, I think it's because it wasn't that obvious. I don't know if it really was because of that, but I think it was.
I'm not as perturbed by the fact that he's jerking off to her feet as I was about the children, first of all. It's, if anything, it's a good indication. He's lame. So we already know he can't really function like a normal man. So the fact that he has this weird fetish makes sense. And it's also to demonstrate the fact that even a woman in this position is forced to kind of prostitute herself to get what she wants. Even as a queen, she's still vulnerable to this demented needs of men, on the one hand. On the other hand, she's still very much the daughter of Otto, in the sense that just like Otto says that has no problem eliminating whoever stands in the way of him so-called protecting the realm, she's willing to do the same, right? Because here Larys is telling her, oh, I know about the White Worm and that your dad's been working with her. What if I got rid of her for you? And she's like, okay, yes, I need to do it. And if that means you got to jerk off to my feet, go ahead and do it. Which is funny because he's going to get pleasure out of eliminating the White Worm too. So Larys is just a pleasure seeker. He wants to jerk off. He gets off on her being cruel to people, and he gets off on pitting people against each other for his own gain.
You've been saying it from the first moment, and I haven't really given you much credit for it.
Yes, I told you.
Noticed from the first moment that Larys was doing it because of that.
I told you, right?
And now that it's like really obvious,
Yeah, it's really obvious.
It's
And
really crazy that he's so perverted that he's doing this under pleasure. Like he's literally, he killed his own family. So for a real weird perversion of, oh, I do it for my queen, and I killed my family for my queen, and now I have the power to ask her whatever. And he probably loved that as well. Like that's how crazy it was. He probably loved to kill his own family.
exactly. It's a testament to the writing and the acting that I was able to see that Laris was a pervert and that his relationship to the queen was a sexual one, even if they're not actually having sex, but it is a sexual molestation of her. And I saw that from the beginning, and that's because of the acting and the writing on that. So kudos to them. How did you feel about this guy breaking her out of the
Yeah.
of her captiveness? I felt that I was nervous about her getting lost.
Honestly, she very much looked like she would get lost any moment. So yeah, I see you there. I'm with you there.
Again, they built a suspense well
But
there.
yeah, it wasn't really great of her to follow him. Like, I mean, I guess I would have done it as well in that situation.
This scene right here, where where this burning building, is this the White Worm's abode? Is this her house, her home? Do we assume that she got killed by Laris already, or what?
It's the brothel. I don't know if she got killed. Do not assume anybody dies in this.
Yeah. Okay, so she was betrayed already by Otto, right? That's the only thing I can assume.
Yeah. Well, that was kind of like you could see that. Like you could have seen that ages ago. Like from the moment she was like, you owe me. You're not gonna tell somebody in that kind of position, you owe me, and that kind of arrogant tone. Like, girl, you're calling to be killed, honestly. Really hope she didn't die. And at the same time I kinda do because oh my god, her accent. But
Her accent.
that was really naive of her.
I like this scene between the Aegon and his mother, where it's always been the same dynamic between the two, right? She's put a lot of pressure on him the way that Otto has put a lot of pressure on her. And the whole problem with Aegon is that he feels that nobody cares about him, so he's never really aspired to do anything more. He's always feels like that he can never live up to the expectations of his parents, of his mom. So he feels like dejected, like, why should I even try when no matter what I do, it's never going to be enough for mom? And it's interesting that they have this entire discussion where he's like, yeah, mom, you're full of crap. There's no way that Viserys wanted me to be the king. There's no way that I was going to be the case. But at the end, he doesn't even care about any of that. He wants to know what every young man wants to know, which is, mom, do you really love me? Because clearly Viserys didn't love me. And I just want to know if you love me. And I thought her response was cute. And I think that's what motivates him to want to do this in the end, is knowing that he does have his mother's love and support at the end of the day.
Okay, honestly, I think it's cute, but at the same time, I don't think it's what he wanted. Because she didn't even say it back. Like, she didn't answer. She just said, you imbecile. Like, you dumb fuck. What the hell? I want you to notice this, though, because if that was the moment that he decided to not run away, then why did he act that way when he was introduced in the throne? Like if you can look at the scene where he passes through the tunnel of swords, I suppose you can call that, he still looks kind of defiant in my opinion. Try to take a look at that.
I think that it's not a matter of whether he wants to do it now at this point. It's a matter of him um, feeling supported by his mother to do it because he realizes that she loves him, so therefore he's willing to give it a shot. He doesn't want to do it until he sees that everybody starts cheering for him, and then at that point he gets intoxicated by the fandom, by the all the likes. He's getting 1,000 likes, and now all of a sudden he's like a social media hero star. So now he wants to do it.
Okay. Yeah, I agree there. It's definitely, that's what I wanted to get you to.
He's resolved to the path that he's been set upon at this point.
Okay, yeah.
Also, contrast this ritual, which is obviously the ritual of the belief in the seven, versus the ritual of Old Valyria that Daemon and Rhaenyra had when they got married back in episode 7 at the end, remember? Notice the difference in that? This feels, okay, it is trying to be kind of Christian, but it feels very forced and fake, versus the Old Valyria tradition felt very organic.
Different? The Valyria one felt traditional.
Here you have that shot of Aemon looking at his brother with the crown, and that look is that look of like, shit, that could have been me. That could have been me. I should have made different decisions. Maybe I shouldn't have saved my brother, right?
And that's saying a lot. I'm kind of glad Aegon is king and not Aemon. Again, like I told you when we watched the episode, I feel like Aemon is a psychopath, and Aegon is just gonna be a puppet of sort that's gonna use power.
And Aegon looks around the room, and now he sees his own mother having to bow down to him, and he's about to be like, oh, I'm liking this shit. I'm like, look at that, Otto has to bow down to him. He's like, what the what's going on? I love it. And so then he plays to the crowd like a dumbass. To me, that was the most pathetic part, because
everybody's loving it.
Even Viserys didn't do that. Viserys didn't play to the crowd. He looks at the crowd and he's like, man, I don't know. Until they start cheering him because they have to cheer him, and then he's like, oh, I'm a social media star now. He becomes drunk. Because Aegon is a drunk. He's a person that's drunk on pleasure seeking, right? He's a drunk. He gets drunk on women. He gets drunk on whatever he can get his hands on. And now he found that he can get drunk on the admiration and the praise of the common folk. And Otto too. Otto is kind of the same. He's kind of living through his children.
And he's not gonna let that one go. That's for sure.
He's the typical father that failed to be something he wanted to be, so he pushes it on his children so that he can feel like he can live through them, no matter how much he traumatizes the children, you know? He looks so pathetic.
Yeah.
This is a power play. This is a chess play that she's doing, where she's like, okay, I'm gonna let you people live to see if you're gonna give us the same courtesy, right? Can we be civil about this? But I'm definitely.
That's not true. She's killing all those civilians.
Oh yeah, well.
Broke her the freaking pavement.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, you have a good point there. Like, she needed to make an entrance, and it's sad. That's the other sad thing about this, is that in all these things, you know, it's the common people that suffer. You know, these are fights between so-called royalty at the expense of the common folk. It's always the common folk that suffer it. And that's why I like that the white worm was the only one that kind of stepped in and said, like, hey, we're the ones suffering, and we're the ones that give you the power to be who you are. It's not your Valyrian blood or your Hightower blood, you know? But she could have burned them all to a crisp. She could have taken advantage of this situation.
Yeah, it's the people, but they always forget about the people.
But instead, she used this as a symbolic way, a gesture of defiance to her will. And so now we know that it's not over. It's only the beginning, right? I love the dragon yell. I also love that dragon design. They really designed the dragons lovely. She's like, how could you betray me?
Such a power move, honestly. It's amazing.
And I love Rhaenys' look. It's like, what did you think?
Yeah.
What did you think was going to happen?
Too. Like, she's one of my favorite.
What did you think was going to happen? I was just going to let you have me sit and rot in that chamber and do whatever you told me to do? Like, Alicent messed up. Alicent should have let her go, don't you think? That would have been a better move. Yes or no?
Yeah, but she didn't want to be. I think she thought that was going to be what her father would have done as well, and she's trying not to be her father right now.
No, I said she should have let her go. I don't think Otto would have let her go, would he? I'm saying Alicent should have let Rhaenys go and make her own decision. I think if she had done that, things would have played out a little better, maybe. It's the fact that she kept her locked up like that, like she was gonna kill her.
No, that. Oh.
That's what I'm trying to say. No?
Yeah. But they had to keep the palace on lockdown. It wasn't just her, by the way.
Yeah, but after the meeting that they had, when Alicent went to talk to her, that was the moment where she should have been like, look, you make your own decision. I'm going to let you go. I had to do this out of safety. But now that we've talked about it, you know, I'll let you make your own decision and you can go. But, you know, I hope that you can help me through this transition or whatever the hell. And I think that Rhaenys would have been more susceptible to what she was asking. But the fact that she locked her up like that and kept her locked like that, oh, you don't do that to Rhaenys. She's been through too much.
I see. Yeah, I agree there.
Anyway,
I think she got bitter. Rhaenys, got bitter because of that.
Well, she has every right to be bitter.
Things just escalated.
She has every right to be bitter, and you know, I mean, she could have died in that. She could have, for all she knew, they were going to kill her if she didn't go along with what they wanted her to do. You know, especially she knows them very well by now. She's not a moron.
Oh yeah, she has. I'm not saying she doesn't.
But what do you think? We got one episode left. What do you think is going to be the last episode about?
Well, if we didn't see Rhaenyra this episode, I think that's exactly what we will see. Next episode, it's gonna be Rhaenyra, Daemon, and the fallout of all that. Like, honestly, if I was, I wouldn't go back to King's Landing just yet. But knowing how reckless Rhaenyra is, I think that's exactly what she will do, and Daemon will go with her.
I don't know. I mean, I think it's the beginning of the battle, right? This is something that's going to play out between Alicent and Rhaenyra and their children for the most part for the next season, I would think. I don't know. I haven't read the books. I'm really curious now. I mean, I know for a fact that Aegon becomes king. We already saw that happen. And I believe that Aegon's line, and Aemon doesn't even have a kid, or he has a bastard kid. Aegon's kids, I don't even know if they end up becoming kings, but Rhaenyra's kids by Daemon do end up taking the kingship next. This season was very much about women. right? It was about women fighting against the patriarchy, but not with swords like Galadriel, but understanding how to deal with men, work with men, manipulate men, deal with each other. Yeah, there's some other things that were just what's the word, that were comfortable that I don't care for. They really push the abortion thing. They really kind of push the abuse of children. But other than that, it's mostly about this woman power struggle, and it was done mostly well. It's realistic. It didn't cheese itself out in any form. And I'm assuming that's how it's going to continue, right? It's going to continue to be about these three women.
Like, honestly, I don't think it was annoying. Yeah, it wasn't cheesy at all.
So, I'm looking forward to the next season.
Not only the women, though, because remember, there's a whole family now. It definitely is a conversation between those two factions, which I don't know if I've ever mentioned it. But the Allison faction is the Greens for obvious reasons, and Rhaenyra's is the Blacks. So they take their names from literally the dresses that the two wear. So yeah, it's starting mainly as that, but as we're seeing, at least in the series, they're really trying to say that in the end, the people that actually started it, aka the women, were trying to reconcile, but it's the rest of the family that won't let them. It's all the rest of the men, the children, and how just the situation evolves, it won't let them stop it.
I wanna make a final point about all of this. That is that this is pretty much taken from the War of the Roses in the British royal line that happened before Queen Elizabeth, before her father, Henry VIII. Actually, Henry VII was the first one to supposedly reunite the royal line. For many, I forget how many years before that, for several generations, the royal house of England was split between two different factions, very similar to this, where it was called the War of the Roses, I believe. So, like, continues to be a ripoff of British and European royal history. That's the only thing I will say about Game of Thrones, At the same time, like, this guy is not that creative. Apart from throwing in dragons and maybe the concept of Dole Valyria, this is not really a fantasy story. But it's intriguing. We love that stuff, right? It's more intriguing than celebrities for sure. And again, I feel that the dynamics that they have created have been interesting.
I guess he never.
They just don't have enough. The stakes are just not high enough.
Like, at least it's teaching. If it is teaching something, it's teaching history at least.
Well, in disguise, maybe not really. It's trying to do its own thing. But my point is that it doesn't really. The stakes are not high enough here. Like in Game of Thrones, the stake was high with the White Walkers from the very beginning. No. We always knew that the White Walkers were going to be a threat to humanity, to all of humanity, and that these people needed to put their squabbles aside to fight it. Here it's just really a battle between these women, and I think that's why it was put into play, because they want to show us these strong women types and everything. At least here they do a good job at it, but there really isn't a whole lot of drama. It's really mostly a family bicker between itself, which is really cool because we get to see more dragons.
Yeah, definitely. Have you heard? There's not yet enough drama. You don't know what's gonna come. There's gonna be a lot of drama. Like, this is all a prologue, basically. Also, since it's going so well, they are also putting into play the second spin-off of Game of Thrones, which I think would be more interesting, but they're still playing it safe with a kind of
Oh God.
strong female person.
They're gonna keep
So
milking
strong
this?
female lead, I guess, which I'm more scared about because it's gonna be about Nymeria, which is yeah, there's gonna keep milking this. It's Nymeria is like a princess, but she's like going out sailing and she's got like thousands of ships, literally, and they're gonna milk that, I guess.
I don't know. I mean,
And I'm scared it will become another Galadriel. I really hope it won't.
I don't
And,
think anything can be as bad as Galadriel.
George Martin will still supervise.
I don't think it can get as bad as Galadriel, but it sounds interesting. They have more going on than Rings of Power.
I mean, you're right.
However,
okay.
how much are they gonna make us wait for the next season, though? That's the thing. If they make us wait too long, it's just that was my problem with Game of Thrones. They made us wait so much for season 7 that by the time it came out, I wasn't interested, and then it turned out to be a flop.
Well, it turned out to be a flop because season 6 was already meh, and season 7 took so long and it was bad, and season 8 was just awful. So, I think it went into production though, like season 2, as soon as the first episode aired, like it was confirmed for another season, and there's not like a lot of writing to go into it because the story, the overarching story is already there. They just have to decide what to pick and choose off of the book where this is narrated.
So are they?
And
The question is, are
given
they?
the great writing that they did this.
Are they shooting this now, or are they still like? How long are we gonna have
So
to wait?
I don't think it's gonna take more than a year,
Oh Jesus, that's too long.
year and a half maybe.
I don't know. I mean, Rings of Power already like did bad, and they don't have a chance of keeping even the audiences they have if they're gonna take a year and a half before they give us a season 2 of that crap. These guys can't be taking so damn long with these things. It's not even that worth it, to be honest. But we'll see. This one's still more. We still got the finale. See where they drop it off. It is intriguing because I like English royal history, so that's what appeals to me, and I like dragons.
But that's it's my idea, but I don't know if it's really gonna take that long.
Anyway, I think we're gonna end it there, unless you got any final words.
Any final words? I'm excited to see the dragons next episode.
Okay, sounds
really
good.
basic, but I don't care.
Sounds awesome. I am too.
I wanna see all the difference in the dragons they're gonna show.
Okay, great. We will be there.